Both in the first reading and in the gospel today, we encounter experiences and rules prescribed to people who suffer with leprosy. And we may have heard these types of rules before, but we can see clearly, both, especially in the first reading, just how strict the Jewish people were when it came to leprosy. And as I hear the experience of this man with leprosy, as I hear the way that the people with leprosy had to be treated back in Jesus' time, I can't help but be drawn to where we're at right now. Right? We experience a lot of the same quarantine rule. Many of us may have had to experience the same kind of quarantine rules that it seems like were prescribed in the gospel. Whenever someone's tested positive for COVID, or if you're exposed to somebody, you're immediately separated, right? You're quarantined. But I think what Jesus wants to lift up to us today, particularly just putting ourselves in the spot of the leper, who for his whole life has known nothing but isolation, who has known nothing but having to declare he calls himself unclean day after day after day. Our current situation is going to eventually pass. This isn't going to be with us forever, right? Our experience of quarantines and isolations are one day going to be a memory. It's not going to be our present day experience. However, I think we can look at the superficial pandemic and look at the superficial problem and let that distract us from the very real spiritual insight that Jesus is trying to show to us today, that also plagues many of us. That feeling of being unclean, that feeling of being unworthy, that feeling of ultimately feeling like I have this struggle that no one really gets, whether it's like this experience of maybe I had an argument with somebody, or I said these words to somebody that I can't get over. Maybe I just struggle with this particular sin or habit that no matter how many times I try or want to stop, I just keep falling back into it. Maybe I continue to make promises to the Lord or to other people, and it never seems like I can get it right. I always feel like I'm always focused on the failures that I have, and the failures mask over any kind of success that I have. There's a beauty in the meeting of desires, of our desire, when we recognize that that's God's same desire, and those two desires meet. That encounter is an encounter that always brings healing, that always transforms our hearts. Jesus' desire and Jesus' plea is the same. I do will to come to bring healing into your heart and into your life, in that spot where it's easy to believe that healing is not possible.